In Japan, there's a person you'd want to ask what inspired him. Sound space composer Hiroaki Ide. About 20 years ago, the departure bell at JR Shinjuku Station got a major makeover. It is the departure bell designed by Ide. Ever since, departure bells across the country changed dramatically. But Ide is not a composer in the ordinary sense.
There's some things that just can't be put down in do-re-mi.
When writing a song, he draws pictures like this one instead of musical notes.
This is a beetle crawling. A beetle?
Not just musical instruments, but he uses every single sound on Earth. At a movie theater where Ide produced the sound effects, it was so powerful that
The crowd was on its feet from start to finish.
the audience watched the movie on its feet, going wild, as if it were a live rock concert. Ide is currently attracting attention for his invisible designs at commercial facilities. This is Omotesando Hills in Tokyo. Using over 150 loudspeakers, Ide has created different sound zones in the space. It is an invisible design that lets you walk through many different sounds.
I believe that things that you can't see will become very valuable.
In collaboration with Rikken Innovation Center, Ide has succeeded in converting the vibration of molecules that make up the human body into sound.
The molecules were singing. It was beyond our imagination.
Innovative sounds created by this man might well change the future of us all. Hiroaki Ide designs the invisible world with sound. What is the source of his inspiration? Letting the inspiration take off.
Omotesando Hills in Tokyo is a popular commercial facility. The structure of the building is very distinctive. The shops are arranged in a spiral. I designed the sound for this space. What I did was, here as you go down the stairs, the sound changes. It's designed so that you move through different sounds. When you go down the steps, you hear the sound of horses galloping by. As you go farther down the steps, you begin to hear the murmur of a stream. How is it done? This loudspeaker is called a flat panel speaker. A regular speaker is round, but this one has a flat panel. The entire panel vibrates like this in parallel. What happens is that the sound doesn't travel higher than the speaker.
By using the flat panel speakers that regulate the distribution of sound, he has created different sound zones that people can experience as they walk around.
Technically, it's called directionality control.
Unlike trying to disperse sound as broadly as possible, directionality control directs sound by regulating the distribution of sound and the area it travels to.
Such properties are exercised on the very high ceiling of Omotesando Hills by these tiny little speakers. Each speaker is only about 10 centimeters, but when these tiny speakers are lined together, they display enormous power. The sound from just one tiny speaker will only stay up there. But when you put, say, 4 of them together, they shoot out a powerful sound like a very strong arrow. And it's not necessarily a very loud sound, but one that travels far. It's called the line array effect. The line array effect is when small speakers are aligned together. The sound does not disperse but travels far like a laser beam. Using this property of sound, I fixed tiny speakers in a line and designed them so that the sound pours down from the ceiling. Because of the high ceiling, I really wanted to make it feel like the sound was pouring down from above. The unique structure of Omotesando Hills inspired me to create an image of sound pouring down from high above. See those speakers on the ceiling? There are more than 100 of them, but they're facing slightly inward. They're fixed at an angle so that each sound sort of spills down like a waterfall. By installing the speakers at an inward angle, the sound pours down the open space, but doesn't spray into the shops on each floor. The shops have their own background music, and we don't want to interfere with them. We're able to do that without building walls. So that's what directionality control is about.
The designing of space with sound, which is invisible, is the new realm of sound inspired by Ide.
Of course, there's the design of the visible realm, but I'm into creating something that's invisible yet inspiring. I believe there will be more of that from now on.
Ide's work is neither composing nor producing of music. That is why he decided to call himself a sound space composer, meaning that he designs space using sound.
This is the Ide Sound Institute. As the name suggests, we conduct research on sound. We have a large collection of sounds that people can't normally hear. For instance, what's this sound? Listen. This is the sound of an ant crawling. Footsteps? Yes, ants' footsteps sound like this. How about this one? This is the most interesting. Listen. Sounds like a heartbeat, doesn't it? This is the sound of a beetle eating a melon. It's the mouth part, and it's swallowing the melon. It was recorded from the beetle side. We could have done it from the melon side, too. I started to collect these sounds when I became the sound producer for the 2005 World Exposition in Aichi, Japan, the theme of which was the environment. My chief mission was to produce the sound of a tree. This is that sound. Can you hear that roaring sound? It's a type of oak, an acorn tree. It's the sound of the tree soaking up water. It's almost like a pump. The sound of a tree soaking up water for survival. It was a sound that I wanted everybody to hear. What happens then is that there's no need to line up nice words. When people cut a tree, they'd realize that they're cutting something that's alive. I believe that that feeling would translate into something and relate to the theme to live.
Ide went into the woods and took over a year to collect the sounds of plants, insects, and birds. Then, through 173 loudspeakers, he skillfully revealed the energy of the natural world. Ide's efforts were a great success. The pavilion ranked as one of the highest in visitor satisfaction level. Ide gets commissions from a wide range of fields. This day, he headed to a rather unexpected location. The Riken Innovation Center in Wako Saitama Prefecture.
What are you here for today? I'm working with scientists on how the body plays music. We've come to learn that the molecules in our body play music.
Molecules in our body play music? What on earth is he up to here?
We'll add vitamin B, serotonin, adrenaline, and blood. Ide-san, I don't understand a thing. We're wondering what the merger of science and music will produce. We're looking at molecules in the human body. Molecules? Yeah.
When a substance in the human body is observed at the molecular level, everything is vibrating at an incredible speed of 10 trillionth of a second. We already know that the vibration of each molecule is different. This is a computer simulation of the movement of blood sugar. What would these molecules sound like if their vibration were converted into sound? It was an unprecedented challenge for Ide. The human ear cannot hear molecular vibration, but from the enormous amount of data, he successfully converted them into sound.
The sound of the vibration of blood sugar. Please listen. Here it is. It sounds like a melody that somebody has composed. Even I was surprised when I first heard it. It sounds as if the molecules are playing music, composing a song. I can't help but feel a sense of purpose, so to speak. It was beyond our imagination. In the beginning, we never imagined anything even remotely close to saying that the molecules were singing. We'd like to continue to analyze a variety of things with scientific methods. If research of this kind advances, the day might come when we can tell the state of our health by sound. For example, we might be able to tell the viscosity of our blood without a physical test.
We asked Ide, who juggles many projects every day, what the source of his inspiration was. It was quite surprising.
I have a lot of projects going on at the same time, sometimes about 20. So when I want to put something aside, or have to go on to another stage, I have to switch into another mode. So I clap my hands and say, "The end." People often say it to others, but I say it to myself. When it comes to work, I tend to think about it over and over and get too absorbed. Doesn't that happen to you too? If it does happen, please try this. The end. By making a sound, I'm able to get a sense of closure and can move on to concentrate on another project. There are many techniques for memorizing things or remembering them, but not many on how to forget. The skill to not think about something is the key. To get a fresh inspiration, it's important to forget. My inspiration begins with a clean sheet.
Ide claps his hand and designs sound that is unlike any other in the world. It all started with that sound, which is so familiar to all of us.
I was born in 1955 in Shimada-shi, Shizuoka Prefecture. I used to love listening to my grandma sing as she carried me on her back. The memory of such a peaceful sound might be the roots of my inspiration. I started playing the saxophone in middle school and got hooked. After college, I went to work for Yamaha. I started my career as a mixer who does the recordings and voicings in music production. In my late 20s, I was picked out to be the musical director of a popular artist. At the time, a lot of politics were involved. People flashed money in my face and asked if I wanted to be a director for a major artist. Wow, yeah, I thought. But then I thought, is this what I really wanted to do? What became a huge turning point in my life was, in 1989, I was asked to renew the departure bell at JR Shinjuku Station. They said that the former bell brrr, was too loud and had to be changed. JR's demands included things like decreasing the number of people dashing for a train, but make it a pleasant sound that was not too loud but would reach far, and laid out about 4 contradicting requirements. Every time I made a sample, I went to the platform again and again. I made well over 300 samples. A sound that would catch people's attention and yet be pleasant. Is that possible? I was up against an almost impossible challenge. But one day, I was listening to my cassette recorder at the far end of a platform when I saw this old man. He was sitting down on a bench. When I played a fairly simple one with the piano, he sort of smiled. Then it hit me. This was the one. It was sort of like the sound of one of those large bells at a temple. When I thought about it, bells at temples have been ringing hard for thousands of years. It is indeed a sound that catches the attention and is pleasant for everyone. I thoroughly analyzed the sound of the bell, and based on its structure, I made many samples. 1 year after I started, a brand new departure bell was completed.
A brand new departure bell designed by Ide. Thereafter, the noisy bells at train stations around the country were altered to new sounds.
Through this project, I realized that there might be other potential ways music could be used that haven't been discovered yet. I went to one of those music therapy sessions. It was at a nursing home that I was visiting with a friend. Most of the people were bedridden, and the atmosphere was rather depressing. But then they brought out some drums and melodicas and began to play the do-re-mi scale together. They took it slowly, but everyone was serious. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Tears started to pour down my cheeks. They were simply doing do, re, mi. It was just so moving. Even now when I think about it, I get a bit emotional. I realized how wonderful music is, and I knew that this is what I wanted to do.
With that thought in mind, Ide flew to America. He went to the University of Texas, MD Anderson Cancer Center, a world-renowned cancer center. Ide once again took up a challenge with sound. The use of a sound system to reduce the distress of cancer treatment.
Since I had to abide by American standards, it was very tough.
Clinical research was carried out with the cooperation of patients suffering from cancer treatment. Inside the three-dimensional sound system that Ide had developed, patients felt as if they were totally wrapped and cradled by sound. He played well-known classical tunes such as Bach's Air on the G string and sounds from the natural world like the woods or the waves. He also played songs that were dear to the patients. He tried a variety of things.
When I actually saw the patients and heard directly from them, I knew that it was effective.
For 2 years, Ide went to America over and over and repeated the clinical trials. Ide and his group's research results were presented at a medical meeting in America, and their three-dimensional sound system was medically recognized as effective in alleviating distress during cancer treatment.
It brought tears to my eyes to think that I was able to contribute in such a way.
He wishes to help people through sound. It was this experience that motivates the current Ide. As a sound space composer, his days are filled with work schedules. But there is one project that he himself has planned and is his lifetime passion. It's a radio program that Ide also participates in. They play original music to simple but emotionally touching stories sent from listeners around the country. I was an auto mechanic. I used to be really envious of my friends who had jobs at major firms. I used to believe that I had no future because I didn't even go to high school. Then an older friend said to me, "There's really not much difference between you and them." 29 years later, I now run a company I founded 11 years ago.
When I read those letters, I can sometimes really relate to them. They give me inspiration and courage. They really do.
He wants to convey the power of sound to everyone. The sound space composer Hiroaki Ide continues to paint his dreams on an invisible canvas.